good afternoon. I'm Stéphane Paquet, CEO of Montreal International.
First of all, looking at Canada in general, before we talk about Montreal, what makes us an attractive destination for foreign investors?
Well, thanks, Laurent, for the invite, and thanks for the question. I'd say that there are probably three factors that would explain why Canada is a great place to invest. The first one is the local talent. The OECD just said that Canada has the most educated workforce in the world. What does that mean? Is that if you look at every Canadian that are aged 25 to 64, 6 out of 10, 59% of them have a post-secondary degree in Canada. So that's good. Second reason is the foreign talent, I would say, because the immigration process in Canada, well, it's not perfect. It's not perfect nowhere. I never say to investor that it's easy because immigration is always a heavy process. But still, Canada immigration process is not a lottery. It's something you can plan on. It's business friendly, and yes, we can do things with you where we do have services to accompany you in that process. So it's much easier than it can be at other places in other countries. And finally, I would say the last factor is the market. You'd say, well, why Canada is not such a huge market? It's true, we're less than 40 million people, but with our many different free trade agreements with countries around the world, we have access to 60% of the world GDP with no duty. So there are not that many countries in the world that can have those three factors in place. So I think that's why Canada is a good place to invest.
Now, if we zoom in and ask a similar question about Montreal, what are Montreal's top competitive advantages when it comes to attracting foreign investors?
Well, first, let me tell you how attractive we are, and I would say Montreal is back. In the last 5 years, what we've seen at Montreal International is that when I started there 5 years in 2015, we attracted approximately 1 billion worth of investment. Last year, well, in 2019, the last results we were at 2.6. So we almost tripled the amount of FDI that we did attract. So there is certainly a buzz about Montreal in certain regions, in certain sectors. So we've been doing quite well in the last few years. One reason for that is that we don't pretend to be good in everything. We have a focus approach, which means we identify different sectors: video games, AI, health sciences, aerospace, for example, cybersecurity, and we focus on them. We want to excel in a few sectors instead of being just the average in every sector. So that's one reason. And the other reason is also something that's true for Canada, as I just said, but talent. Talent is the key. And investors want to know, one of the first questions they ask is, well, okay, fine, if I do set up a lab in Montreal, if I do open a factory in Greater Montreal, if I do open a big office in Montreal, do you have talent? And the answer to that is yes. We have the actual pool of talent. We have the immigrants, as I just said in the beginning, but we also have many people in universities. In fact, we have 11 universities in the Greater Montreal area, 60 different colleges. So the workforce is there, and we're there to help you find them.
You mentioned all those sectors that are clear choices for Montreal, not trying to be everything to everyone, but yet cybersecurity and aerospace, AI and health or education, or video game, those are still very different sectors. Is there something that connects them together?
Well, AI does connect them together. And what we've seen with AI is very, very interesting, because we've seen that wave of the last 3 years. In fact, we did accompany approximately 40 foreign companies who came to Montreal because of AI. And what we've seen at the beginning is that we saw the big player, the big IT players, you know them, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, they came. And after that, the second wave, what we've seen is companies from different sectors, aerospace, life sciences. They come and say, well, we have all those data. We don't know exactly what to do with them. What should I do with my data? And that's why they choose Montreal. They open here a research center that helps them identify what they can do with their data and how competitive they can be in the next few years because of the research they're doing.
Now, you already mentioned some of Montreal's key priority sectors. Of course, Montreal International as an economic development agency has them clearly listed, but which ones would you say are either the most important one by size or the most promising in terms of their growth trajectory? And I'm of course talking about in terms of foreign investment.
AI is something specific, but you can apply it to different sectors. So regarding one of the key sectors where we're focusing it on in AI is the health science sectors. Why? Because we think there's plenty of data to be analyzed. There's plenty of data that if we look at the right place, not myself, but computers, if they look at it, they say, well, there's a link between this and that. So that's why we could have nice breakthrough that could change your life, my life, everybody's life. So the health science, the research center is certainly an area on which we're focusing. We've talked a bit about video games. This is absolutely incredible what happened with Montreal in the video game industry. We are now among the top 5 global hub in the world. And if you look only at the 3As games, we're probably number 1 or number 2. So that is something that we started from scratch in the 90s. And now we are among the top 5 around the world. And what we've done with gaming, we are actually, as we speak, doing the same thing with the VFX industry. 5 years ago, there were about 500 people working in VFX in Montreal. Now it's more than tenfold that number in only 5 years. So we've seen studios arriving, English studios, French studios, American studios. They come here, they do their VFX. One thing we are focusing on, something probably a hidden secret about Quebec, because that's Quebec as a whole, is the clean sector. We all know the buzz about the clean sector right now because the new Biden administration has put the focus on it. But, well, people keep forgetting that Montreal, Quebec, 99% of our electricity is renewable. It comes from our hydropower, Hydro-Quebec, which is a state-owned company. So we have that. We have battery producers who are already here, who produce batteries that are sold to Daimler. We have EVs manufacturers. Lion Electric, for example, will be on NASDAQ in a few weeks. So we have those players, and we have that clean energy. You have nice research centers also. So this is something we will be focusing a bit more in the coming. Well, we've started already, but you'll hear more about it from us in the next few semesters.
I want to talk about artificial intelligence a little bit more because it really has been one of the sort of shining lights for Montreal over the last years, especially. Who are some of the main players in Montreal's AI ecosystem, and what sort of foreign investments would you highlight as foundational to Montreal's future?
Professor Benjo, who is a star in the AI sector, founded the MILA, the Montreal Institute of Learning Algorithms. Nobody says the whole thing now. Everybody talks about MILA. So Professor Benjo founded MILA in 1993. So that's quite a while ago, almost 3 decades ago. So, and we started seeing the results of this fundamental research only a few years ago. All those big IT players from Microsoft, Google, Facebook are here. And the second wave we've seen is a French player, Thales, for example, established an R&D center in Montreal. You also have people from Servier. You have other health science, big pharma who chose Montreal. Borealis from the RBC, the Royal Bank of Canada, also established a lab here. So you have these people, but I'd say what you have the foreign players, you have local players, and one thing that unites them all, and probably the big difference between Montreal and what I've seen in other places and what I'm told about other places is the collaboration. You have collaboration first between companies themselves. You have collaboration between academia and the companies and the governments also. So it's not just I'm going there in Montreal, I will have 20 people and that's it. No, you have access to academia. Probably your lead researcher can be someone teaching at McGill or at Université de Montréal who will be part-time in the university, part-time leading your center. And that's what makes Montreal. That's this collaboration.
Speaking of spirit, I was just thinking as you were talking that I feel there is also an element of pride to be a Montreal-based company or to be a Montrealer or a Montreal, professional. I know I'm very happy and I'm quite proud to be consider myself a Montrealer. Does that play a part as well? You think does that in a sense maybe energize sort of the troops, our professionals, our scientists? To be able to say, we did this in Montreal. This is, what we do here in Montreal.
I can't talk for everybody, but there certainly is a buzz around Montreal now. Listen, I remember when I was younger, well, Montreal was never the top city in Canada to have the strongest growth. What did we do? In 2018, in 2019, we were the top growth city in Canada. Well, when we say Montreal is back, it's not just a sales pitch. Look at the figures, and that's what we did in the last 2 years. I'm still waiting for the 2020 figures, but that's what we've done at least 2 out of the last 3 years, and you can make sure we'll do everything to do the same in 2021.